Friedrich Nietzsche, the German philosopher and cultural critic, has long been regarded as one of Western philosophy's most provocative and influential thinkers. Often seen as something of a prophetic figure, Nietzsche anticipated much of what we now consider postmodernism, challenging established norms, values, and truths that had been central to Western thought for centuries. To say that Nietzsche's contributions are substantial would be, in my estimation, an understatement. His work marked a dramatic shift away from classical philosophy and continues to inspire, provoke, and indeed unsettle readers today. Nietzsche is perhaps best known for two ideas that shook the foundations of Western thought: nihilism and his haunting declaration, God is dead. These concepts were not merely rhetorical provocations, but were core elements of his critique of modern values and the spiritual crisis that he saw emerging in 19th century European society. So let's now look at the roots of nihilism and Nietzsche's interpretation, which is sometimes described as a radical interpretation. I'm not sure I agree with that, but it is sometimes described that way. So nihilism is a term that originated in Russia, and it gained political and philosophical significance as a reaction to the oppressive social and religious structures of the time. In the 1860s, Russian author Ivan Turgenev, I've probably said that wrong, but Ivan Turgenev popularized the concept in his novel Fathers and Sons, in which the character Bazarov embodies the nihilist ideal, a rebellion against the aristocratic social order and a wholesale rejection of traditional values and institutions. Early nihilism was often defined by the refusal to accept inherited beliefs, morals, or societal roles. And in Russia, it was closely linked to revolutionary ideas advocating for a rejection of authoritarian structures in favor of radical social and political change. So Nietzsche's interpretation of nihilism was not purely political. Instead, he saw it as like an existential crisis, intrinsic to modernity itself. For Nietzsche, nihilism represented an unavoidable confrontation with the meaninglessness of existence arising from the collapse of traditional values. He famously described it as the highest values devaluing themselves. In Nietzsche's view, nihilism was an outcome of the Western world's reliance on concepts like objective truth, universal morality, and a divinely ordained purpose. He saw these values as self-undermining, leading ultimately to disillusionment and despair as people began to realize that these values lacked any absolute foundation. Unlike the Russian nihilists, who saw the rejection of established values as a political act, Nietzsche viewed it as a philosophical necessity. He believed that Western civilization had been moving inexorably towards nihilism due to centuries of metaphysical and religious thinking, which had disconnected from people from the tangible earthly world. This disconnection led people to place their hopes in an imagined reality, a life beyond this one, or an ideal utopia that devalued the life that they were living. Nietzsche argued that the advent of nihilism was not simply the end of belief, but a point of transition, an opportunity for humanity to face the void left by traditional values and to forge new life-affirming ones. So now that we have gained some insight into the origins of nihilism and Nietzsche's interpretation, we can now turn our attention to the oh-so-famous and often parodied statement that Nietzsche made and what that means. The statement to which I'm referring, of course, is God is dead. One of Nietzsche's most enduring contributions to the social, political and philosophical discourse was his proclamation in the gay science, God is dead. This was not meant literally, but instead metaphorically, capturing the idea that the collective belief in God and the moral, social and metaphysical systems tied to that belief was deteriorating. Nietzsche saw that the traditional structures that once provided meaning, order and purpose to people's lives were breaking down, leaving humanity adrift in a world without inherent significance. In declaring God is dead, Nietzsche was identifying a seismic shift in human consciousness. He believed that, in the absence of God, humanity would lose its moral compass and be faced with the daunting task of redefining meaning and purpose without relying on religious or metaphysical underpinnings. Nietzsche saw this as both a crisis and an opportunity. Without the scaffolding of old beliefs, humanity was, for the first time, free to create its own values and define meaning for itself. This newfound freedom, however, also demanded a willingness to confront the potential emptiness and existential anxiety that comes with living in a world without divine or universal truths. It's worth noting that Nietzsche was not the originator of the phrase God is dead. That credit belongs to the great philosopher Hegel, who used it in a different context as part of his Christian theology. I will do another video about that at some point in the future. So Nietzsche's innovation was in treating the death of God as an existential crisis that modern humanity faced, an inevitable outcome of Western traditions, internal contradictions. Another thing for which Nietzsche is really quite famous and at times vilified is his critique of Christianity. Central to Nietzsche's critique was his view of Christianity as a life-denying religion that, rather than empowering people, perpetuated a system of values that he saw as anti-life. Nietzsche's disdain for Christianity stemmed from its emphasis on self-denial, humility, and the promise of an afterlife. He saw these values as encouraging people to despise their earthly existence and seek solace in the idea of an otherworldly realm, a place beyond this life where they could hope to find happiness and meaning. To Nietzsche, Christianity promoted what he called slave morality, a reactionary system of values that originated among the oppressed that glorified meekness, obedience, and the suppression of natural instincts as virtues. Nietzsche argued that this otherworldly focus encouraged people to turn away from the beauty, complexity, and challenges of life on earth. In his view, Christianity taught people to regard suffering as redemptive, humility as virtuous, and earthly desires as sinful. He believed that this mindset fostered a sense of resentment towards life, a passive acceptance of suffering, and a preference for an imagined ideal over reality. Nietzsche famously called Christianity the greatest of all hatreds for life, because he saw it as a system that denied the vitality and will to power that he held so dear. In contrast to Christian ideals, Nietzsche extolled values that he considered life-affirming, embracing strength, creativity, individualism, and a willingness to confront life's challenges directly. He believed that a truly meaningful life required a rejection of religious ideals that encouraged self-denial and acceptance of suffering. Instead, Nietzsche argued for an aggressive acceptance of life in all its forms, including pain, complexity, and imperfection. Defying nihilism was an important issue for Nietzsche, an issue for which Nietzsche had a solution: the vision of the Übermensch. Although Nietzsche was deeply concerned about the implications of nihilism, he himself was no nihilist. He did not see the end of traditional values as a cause for despair. Rather, he saw it as an opportunity for transformation. Central to this vision was his concept of the Übermensch, or overman, or Superman, I guess you could call them. A figure who embodies the capacity to transcend nihilism and create new values. Outdated beliefs and conventions do not bind the Übermensch, but instead forge a path defined by individual strength, self-affirmation, I will struggle to say that, self-affirmation and creativity. For Nietzsche, the Übermensch represents humanity's potential to rise above nihilism and to embrace life on its own terms, without reliance on transcendent or other ideals, or otherworldly ideals, rather. The path that Nietzsche envisioned was not easy. It required confronting the void left by the death of God, and rejecting traditional morality's comforting but restrictive values. Nietzsche's philosophy is not a denial of meaning, but a call to reevaluate our deepest beliefs and create a life-affirming value system. He challenges us to embrace life's complexities, affirm our existence without retreating into fantasies of an ideal world, and to find meaning in the act of living. In this way, Nietzsche's work offers both a diagnosis of modern disillusionment and a powerful vision for renewal. By rejecting escapist ideals and embracing the raw reality of existence, Nietzsche's philosophy compels us to live boldly, create, and find purpose in the world as it is. So that's our very quick and short exploration of Nietzsche and some of his ideas around nihilism and indeed about the death of God. So if you found this video interesting or informative, then please, I would very much appreciate if you could do all the YouTube things, like the video, subscribe to the channel and all of that good stuff. If you think I've said something that's not quite correct, then please jump in the comments and let me know, because it's only through those interactions that we can all refine our knowledge and improve ourselves and move forward. So thank you very much for your time today. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.